evening, everyone. My name is Bettina and I'm with Believable Prana Yoga and Wellness, coming to you with the City of Newport News Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Department. So Wednesdays are going to be yoga fundamentals for our class. So 5:30-ish every Wednesday. Please just tune in and join me on Facebook Live right here. So we're going to do yoga fundamentals, meaning we're going to break down the different postures, the different asanas, so you can get familiar with your body alignment and how you feel in a proper alignment as best works for you. So as we come to our practice this evening, let's come to a comfortable seated position, however you feel comfortable. You can sit crisscross applesauce in easy posture like me, or if you prefer to have your feet together, feel free to do that. Or if you prefer to have your legs straight in Dandasana, staff pose, feel free to do that as well. So let's sit with our hip bones nice, connected to the ground and rooted. Pull your belly button into your spine, sit up nice and tall as though I'm lifting you up by string through the crown of your head. Let's lift the shoulders up and just drop them back, allowing your chest to be open. Breathe in through your nose, down through your esophagus, deep down into your abdomen, expanding your belly, expanding your diaphragm. See if you can really feel that belly expand. Feel your ribs move in and out. Then continue to breathe here. So as we come to our practice this evening, let's begin to set an intention for ourselves. Since we're coming to yoga fundamentals, maybe our intention could be one of being open and being open to learning and open to exploring new things. To change. Let's begin to seal our intention. That thought, that prayer, that mantra, whatever it was for you. Let's begin to seal it with 2 cleansing breaths. Inhale deeply through your nose. Exhale through your mouth, side out. Inhale deeply through your nose again. Exhale through your mouth, side out. Good. Sitting up nice and tall. Just inhale, reach both arms up high to the sky. Exhale, twist and open to the right. Reaching nice and long. Keeping both arms reaching out to the opposite sides of the room. Opposite sides of the earth, wherever you are. Inhale, reach both arms to center. Exhale as you twist and open to the left. Same thing on this side. Reach arms nice and long. Twisting again. Inhale, reach both arms to center. Exhale, twist and open to the right. This time dropping your fingertips down to the ground. Perhaps that allows you to twist a little deeper. Looking either straight in line with your knee or being able to look over towards the right shoulder, if that's comfortable for you. Continuing to breathe wherever you are. Inhale as you reach both arms to center. Exhale, twist and open to the left. Finding the same thing on this side. Extend both arms long and then reach your fingertips down to the ground, down to the mat. Bringing your gaze wherever is comfortable for you. Inhale, reach both arms back through center. Exhale them down to your sides. Okay, let's come to our hands and our knees. Coming to a tabletop position. I'm going to break down tabletop a little bit. Let's start with the hands. So making sure that your wrists are underneath of your elbows, elbows underneath of your shoulders. Have your hands nice and wide, your fingers nice and wide. Be careful not to sink only into the palm of your hand, but also engage your fingertips as well. See if you can almost have a half-boiled egg under your hand. So kind of curving your hand just a little bit. If you can imagine kind of palming a basketball, think about that. So engaging your hands. That way you're pressing through your fingertips as well, the pads of your fingers. Having a nice long spine. Pull your belly button into your stomach, into your spine. Looking directly ahead, perhaps just above your fingertips. Your knees should be about hips width distance apart. So what is hips width distance? For the average person, hips width is 2 fists. So if you can put your 2 fists in between your knees, then that's hips width distance apart. So when you look between your knees coming into your tabletop, your feet should disappear. So you shouldn't be able to see your feet when you come into tabletop and look down. Okay? So coming into our tabletop position, let's begin to move into a series of cat and cow. So with a nice long spine, begin to inhale as you lift the heart, lift the gaze, let the belly drop, tilt the hips forward. Belly drop, tilt the hips forward. Coming into your cow. Gaze can come up, roll your shoulders back. You do this with an inhale. Upon your exhale, round your shoulders, tuck your chin into your chest. So chin is coming into chest, belly button coming high to your spine. Almost kind of tuck your bum under, pressing your hips forward, tucking the chin into the chest like a cat hissing. So push away from the ground. Finding the opposite. Inhale as you lift the gaze, lift the heart, drop the belly, tilt the hips forward, coming into your cow. Try to keep a nice long spine, don't crunch your neck here. Try to keep a nice long spine, you will have a curve. Good, from here, I hope you're continuing to breathe. On your next exhale, round your shoulders, chin into chest, belly button high, tuck your bum under, coming into cat. Push away from the ground like a cat hissing. Continuing with the movements, inhale for cow, exhale for cat. You're going to continue with this series at your own breath pace, linking your breath with your movement. Let's find 2 more full inhalations and exhalations wherever you are. And then let's meet in a neutral tabletop position. Neutral tabletop meaning our backs are nice and flat. We have a slight micro bend to our arms, so be careful not to lock out your elbows. That can cause a lot of stress on your elbows. Be careful not to sink into your shoulders. Sometimes we'll find ourselves sinking into our shoulders. Push away from the ground, really engage your core. Good. From here, let's begin to step back. So step the right foot back, all 5 toes on the ground. Step the left foot back, all 5 toes on the ground, stepping back into plank. So plank position. Go ahead and drop your knees and look up so you can see. Coming into plank position, you're going to keep the same hand position that you are in for your tabletop. We're going to step the right foot back, left foot back, and I'm still pushing away from the ground as I come into my plank. I'm not dropping into my shoulders, I'm not dropping my hips, I'm trying to stay nice and flat. Good. If you want to modify your plank, you can just drop your knees. All I did was drop my knees. I didn't move back, I didn't move forward, didn't drop my hips. So coming into a modified plank, you're still engaging your core here. So let's all try that together. From our tabletop position, let's begin to step the right foot back, left foot back, coming into full plank. Holding here, being careful not to lock out the elbows. Just to try, let's begin to lower both knees down to the ground. Still engaging our core, still pushing away from the ground in our modified plank. Good. From here, let's come into a child's pose. Child's pose, you're going to untuck your toes, coming to the tops of your feet. Lower your hips down to your heels. Forehead will come down to the mat. Arms can stay extended out in front of you. Or you can bring your hands beside your ankles. Now, at any point in time with any yoga practice, if you feel as though you need to take a break or you want to gather your thoughts, come back to that intention that you set for yourself, feel free to come to child's pose. It's always accessible for you, no matter what level of yoga practice that you have. Child's pose is always also a great place to find your downward facing dog. If you're wondering, well, what distance am I supposed to be for my downward facing dog? You can always come to child's pose. So if your arms are not already extended, everyone go ahead and extend your arms out nice and long in front of you. Still remaining in your child's pose, keep your hands right where they are. Keeping your feet right where they are, you're going to tuck your toes. Lift your hips up ever so slightly so you can just tuck your toes. Not moving your hands, not moving your feet. Inhale here. Exhale as you lift your knees, straighten your legs, send your heels down to the ground, send your chest back towards your thighs, turning your body into a V. So you see the V. This is the distance for your downward facing dog. Now this is our first downward dog of the day, so feel free to pedal it out. You want to bend your right and your left knees. And your ankles, getting them involved. Come through center, everyone drop your knees down to the ground. Sit back into your child's pose. Untuck your toes, send your hips down to your heels. We're going to go through that a few times just so you can get the rhythm and the motion and kind of warming up our bodies here as we come into our downward facing dog. So from that child's pose, extend both arms out nice and long. Inhale as you tuck your toes. Exhale, lift your hips high to the sky, downward facing dog. Pushing away from the ground through these hands. Sending your heels down to the ground as best you can. Continue to stay in your downward facing dog as you may want to pedal out your downward facing dog. Just note, your heels may not touch the ground. That's perfectly fine. Anatomically speaking, not everyone's heel will touch the ground at that angle. That's perfectly fine. Also, your legs don't have to be completely straight. You can find a micro bend or even a deeper bend if your knees if that feels comfortable to you. So returning to that downward facing dog. Come through center, let's bend our knees down to the ground. Untuck your toes, return to child's pose. Coming back to that intention that you set for yourself, let's find 3 breaths here. Breathing in through your abdomen, feel your ribs expand into your thighs. Last breath. Extend both arms out nice and long if they aren't already in front of you. Inhale as you tuck your toes. Exhale, lift your hips high to the sky, downward facing dog. Last down dog for right now. Pedal your feet out if you choose, or you can choose to remain straight. Pushing away from the ground. Be careful not to lock out those elbows. Have a micro bend to your elbows. Then from here, we're going to bend our knees. Look up towards the top of your mat. Look up towards your hands. And slowly, we're going to walk our feet up to meet our hands. Walking up into our forward fold. Bend your knees as much as you need to. And from here, we're going to inhale as we halfway lift. Halfway lift, we're turning our bodies nice and long. Feel as I'm pulling you by the crown of your head. You can have a micro bend to your knees if that feels comfortable. Hands can come to the floor, to your shins, or above the knees, to your thighs. Whatever feels comfortable. Inhale here, exhale as you forward fold and relax. Now just a note, be cautious with your hamstrings here. Even if you feel as though you can touch the floor, maybe try having a micro bend first. And then slowly as we progress in our practice this evening, then you can begin to straighten your legs a little bit more. Coming back to that forward fold, Let's inhale as we halfway lift again. Halfway lift. You're gonna look above your mat, so maybe about 3 feet in front of your own toes. Rolling your shoulders back, having a nice long spine. Halfway lift is something that we come to quite often. Inhale here, exhale as you forward fold, relaxing your chest, your belly down onto your thighs. One more time, let's inhale as we halfway lift. Straighten that back, feel as though I'm pulling you by string by the crown of your head. Remember, your hands are either on your shins or above your knees, on your thighs, whatever works for you. Inhale here, exhale, forward fold all the way down. Coming into a ragdoll position, just let your upper body hang. Let your head hang heavy. Just in ragdoll, I'm just letting my upper body hang heavy. Option to grasp your elbows if you like. And from here, let's slowly begin to sway over to the right side. Come through center, sway over to the left side. Come through center, over to the right. Come through center, over to the left. Come through center. Now let's place both hands down on the ground, bend your knees, and come down to either a hero's pose, which is you're sitting back on your knees and your hips are on your heels, or you can come to half mountain, which you're just standing here. Or you can come to an easy posture if you want to just sit. Because right now I'm going to break down reverse swan dive. So reverse swan dive is a way that we stand up. After you come from a forward fold, you can reverse swan dive to come to standing and your Tadasana, your mountain pose. However, many people will just kind of pop out of that. And that's something that can cause a lot of stress and strain, especially on your lower back and your neck. So we want to really be cautious and find self-love and self-care for ourselves and gently rise. So coming into a reverse swan dive. Remember, you can stay seated. Remember, we came from this forward fold. Have a micro bend to your knees. You're going to inhale as you almost like halfway lift, but you're going to spin your palms out so that way they're facing the front or they're facing me. Find length into your back. Find length through your neck. Your neck is also a continuation of your spine. Pressing through both feet. Having both feet firmly planted. You're going to slowly begin to rise as with an inhale. So inhale as you rise all the way up with a flat back. And then you can reach both arms high to the sky. And then release your hands down to your sides. Now sometimes teachers will add a small back bend to the ends of that reverse swan dive. But a reverse swan dive is just the same as swan diving forward. You just swan dive the other way, okay? So let's come back to that halfway lift. If you're sitting in easy posture, if you're in hero's pose, or if you're in half mountain, let's just begin to stand up, coming to that halfway lift. So we're in a forward fold. Our feet are equally distance apart, finding that hip width distance. If you ever wonder again, it's about 2 fists. We have a nice generous micro bend to our knees, or generous bend to our knees. Go ahead and forward fold, coming into ragdoll right now. Allowing your belly to relax and rest on your thighs. Hands and arms just droop where they may. Releasing your neck down towards the ground. Pressing through both feet. Inhale as you halfway lift. Keeping that micro bend to your knees. Extend both arms out to a T, spinning your palms towards me. With a nice flat back, bringing your gaze above, about 3 feet from your feet. On your next inhale, begin to rise as you press through your feet, your entire foot. The nice flat back. Reaching your arms up overhead, bringing your gaze up as well. Exhaling your hands down to your sides. Reverse swan dive. One thing I want you to be cautious of is when we lift our arms up, sometimes our shoulders want to come up with our arms as well. So roll those shoulders down. If you can't bring your hands together, if you feel as though you need to lift your shoulders up in order to bring your hands together, feel free to widen your arms. It's perfectly fine. You know your body a lot better than I do. I'm not there with you. So you know your body. Respect your body and understand what feels good to your body, okay? All right, so let's try that again. From here, we're gonna go into the forward fold with a swan dive. Okay. So plant it nice and firmly. This inhale as we reach both arms up high to the sky. Exhale as you forward fold all the way down. Have a micro bend to your knees. From here, let's inhale as we halfway lift. Reach that crown out nice and long like a turtle extending their neck out of the shell. Exhale as you forward fold. Micro bend to the knees and reverse swan dive. Inhale as you spin your palms forward. Flatten that back. Bring that gaze nice and long. Reaching both arms overhead. Exhale your hands down to your sides. Okay, let's do that again. I'm going to turn to the side. So coming into it from a forward fold, from a swan dive. Let's inhale, reach both arms up high to the sky. Exhale as we hinge at the hips and swan dive forward. Inhale as we halfway lift. Finding lift in our spine, lengthen that spine and that neck like a turtle. Exhale as we forward fold. Inhale as we flatten the back, spin the palms out to a T, and rise up to standing. Lifting our hearts, lifting our chest, lifting our gaze. Exhale your hands down to your sides. Good. Now that we're in standing, let's break down Tadasana, our mountain pose. So Tadasana is a very powerful pose. If you were with me last week, I did mention how, in some TED Talks, they say just kind of bring your hands to your hips if you ever want to do, if you ever have to do a motivational speech or just talk in front of anyone, just bring your hands to your hips and it'll give you confidence. It helps to change your brain waves. It actually really does. So coming into our Tadasana, we're going to come to a stance in which our feet are hips width distance apart. Remember those two fists. You have a slight micro bend to your knees, but if you're thinking about your feet, I want you to focus on all four corners, not including your toes. So we're going to come to 1, 2, 3, 4. Coming to 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So coming to all four corners, you can even lift your toes up and then just set them down. Just let them rest. Let's bend our knees, and as if you were a rocket, so if you can straighten and almost kind of push forward, like lean yourself forward. So bend your knees and almost kind of lean yourself forward, like you're jet rocketing yourself up. Being careful not to lock out your knees. Have a slight micro bend to your knees. Good. This should almost help you be able to tuck your bum under. So coming to our hips, imagine as though your hips are like a bowl, okay? A bowl full of water. So if your hips are tilted to one side, your water's going to spill out. So be careful. Is your left hip a little lower than the right hip? See if you can kind of self-adjust. Same thing, if your hips are kind of leaning back or leaning forward, your water's going to spill out. So kind of understand that. Some people do have lordosis, in which you almost have like a sway back. So try to mitigate that. You can bend your knees a little bit more, almost kind of tuck that bum under. Really engage that core, those transverse abdominals. Engage that. So that way you're able to keep your hips nice and neutral, nice and level. Okay? So whatever works for you, you know your body. So let's go ahead and figure out where our hips are. So bend your knees a little bit more. Let's shift a little bit to the right. Come back to center. Shift a little bit to the left. Come back to center. Let's shift our hips forward. Spill forward. Come back through center. And now let's shift our hips back. Come back through center. Whatever that center is for you, from here begin to jet rocket yourself up, standing up nice and tall. Not locking out the knees. Good. Engaging our core. So our core isn't just in the front, it goes all the way around. This is entire band. So really use this to really pull yourself up nice and tall. Good, so we have up to our heart chakra figured out so far. Let's lift our shoulders up and just roll them back. Just let your arms just fall. Let's not focus on the hands right now. Lift your shoulders up and just roll them back. Actually, if you can just bounce your shoulders a little bit. Because I want you to get the impression, get the feeling of having your chest being nice and lifted and open. Now thinking about the hands. Sometimes people want to turn their palms forward. However, if this is something that's not normal for you, watch what I do when I decide to shift my palms forward. Did you notice that ever so slightly I pulled my shoulders back and jutted my chest out? Because sometimes people will think that they have to really open up their chest by jutting it out and pulling their shoulders back. When you should really just still stay nice and neutral. So if it doesn't feel comfortable for you to have your palms facing forward, that's perfectly fine. You can have them facing to the side or facing slightly forward. They don't have to be completely turned up. Now coming to your chin, have a nice long neck and a nice long spine as I'm lifting you up by the crown of your head. Have your chin be parallel to the ground as best as can, as best as works for your body. This here is your mountain pose. From here, let's sway from left to right, right to left. Seeing the weight distribution in your body. Let's come forward and back. This is the foundation of all of our standing postures, all of our standing asanas. Feel the strength and the weight distribution in your body. Feel how powerful and how strong you are right now. Sometimes tell people in my class, show up to work in your Tadasana. How often do you really stand like this? If you need practice, feel free to stand this way when you're brushing your teeth, when you're washing your dishes. Good. So from here, we're going to take our Tadasana. We're going to do a swan dive. Halfway lift, plant your hands and step back into that plank. Your choice, either full or modified. You ready? Coming to the top of your mat if you're on a mat. If you're not on a mat, that's perfectly fine. Coming to whatever the top of your space is. With your chest nice and open. Let's inhale as we reach both arms up high to the sky. Reaching, lifting, opening. Inhale here, exhale as you swan dive forward, micro bend to the knees. Inhale as we halfway lift, find length in that spine. Exhale, fold, plant the hands, large step back, right leg, left leg, coming into plank. Full plank or drop the knees if you want to come into modified, your choice. Squeezing the elbows into the sides, lower all the way down to the ground. Untuck the toes, pressing the tops of your feet into the mat. Inhale as you peel your chest off the ground, not really engaging, not really using your hands. Use that lower back. Lower down here. Inhale here, exhale as you push yourself up through your tabletop and back into a child's pose. From your child's pose, begin to walk your hands into your lap, coming into hero's pose, or just standing into half mountain. You're going to come either remain in half mountain, you can remain in hero's or heroine's pose, or you can come to easy posture, because we're going to break down our cobra and our lowering down. We're going to get into some chaturanga action as well. So if you have a chaturanga practice, chaturanga is one of those asanas that can be very tricky. The reason being is because it seems so easy just to lower down. People think you're just lowering down all the way, and you actually aren't. There's a tiny ligament here. Pardon me for not remembering the name of this ligament in your shoulder, but there's a ligament here that you actually, when you tip forward into chaturanga, you really can only lower down about halfway to elbow height. So you should really be cautious of that. If you lower down any lower than elbow height, that's when people start getting those rotator cuff tears, and their shoulders start really hurting and aching. So let's really be cautious with that. So coming into from our plank, you can just watch as I talk. Stepping back, right, left. If you're going to just lower down to the ground, you always still squeeze your elbows into your sides to protect your shoulders. Trying to stay nice and flat, you can always come to a modification. You're going to just lower down all the way down. Hips and chest come down to the ground together. Okay? That's just lowering down to the ground. It's not a chaturanga, that's just lowering down to the ground. All right, from here, if you're going to come to a chaturanga, step back, right, left, coming into your plank, looking forward, looking as far forward as you can without putting a crook or crease in your neck. Chaturanga, you tip forward as far forward as you can. So see, I'm at the balls of my feet. But then I tip forward on my toes. I'm using my toes to push myself forward. So you tip forward, squeezing your elbows into your side, you lower down halfway. It's been a long day. But you only come about halfway. So squeeze those elbows into your sides and come down to your elbow height. If you had a block, next time I'll bring a block. But if you had a block, you would put the block at the second height. So tall height, and then you turn it until to its side, so it's vertical. That would be the second height. And then the third height would be the lowest when it's lying completely down flat. You want the block to be in that wide height. And your chest should be able to hit that block. So coming back to that plank, you're going to tip forward, squeezing your elbows into your sides, lower down halfway. Okay? So from here, coming back to that baby cobra, I lower down all the way down to the ground. Cobras don't have snakes, so you're not going to use your hands for this. Your hands are there for support, more for moral support, mental support. But in your inhale, you peel your chest off the ground. See, I'm really using my shoulders to kind of pull me up. And my lumbar muscles to really engage here. Pressing the tops of my feet into the mat. And you should really be able to play patty cake right here. And then lower down. Okay. So from here, let's begin to all come to our plank position. Legs extended out nice and long behind you. From our tabletop, step your right, your left. Squeezing your elbows into your sides, let's just lower down all the way down to the ground. Lower all the way down to the ground. Untuck your toes, press the tops of your feet into the mat. Squeezing these elbows in still. On your next inhale, begin to peel your chest off the mat. Feel those lower back muscles fire up. Exhale, lower down. Let's try that again. Pressing the tops of your feet into the mat. Inhale as you peel your chest off the mat. Inhale here, exhale, lower down. Inhale here, exhale as you push yourself up and back into your child's pose. Lower your hips down to your heels. Arms extended out nice and long in front of you. Let's remain here for 5 breaths. Continuing to breathe wherever you are. Good, on your next inhale, begin to rise back up. Keeping your arms and your feet right where they are. Let's step the left foot back first this time. So step left, right, coming into our full plank. If you would like to try chaturanga, feel free to come along with me. If not, then you can drop your knees, and lower completely down, or just lower completely down from your full plank. If you're doing chaturanga, let's tip forward, all the way forward as far as you can. Squeeze those elbows into your sides as you lower down halfway. Press back up, drop both knees down to the ground, and let's rest. We haven't gone into upward facing dog, that will be next, but I want to show you that first. Go ahead, come back into that chaturanga again. Step the left foot back, right foot back, pushing away from the ground. Tip forward, lower down as far as you can to those elbows. Press back up, and lower down those knees. Inhale here, exhale, lower hips, down to heels, forehead, down to the mat. Remaining here for 5 breaths. Good, and your next inhale, begin to walk your hands back into your lap. Sitting up nice and tall, coming either to your hero pose, half mountain, easy posture, you know where to go. Good, so now from our chaturanga, we're gonna come forward into our upward facing dog. Upward facing dog is something that people will forget to push away from the ground in. They'll sink into their shoulders. They'll hyperextend their elbows. They won't activate the tops of their feet, the tops of their knees, and their quads, okay? This might be you, this might not be you, but we can always do a refresher. So from our chaturanga, I will step back, I will tip forward, I will lower down halfway, you continuing to use my toes, I'm gonna press forward. My shoulders are rolling back, the tops of my hands, the bottoms of my palms are engaged, the tops of my feet are engaged as well. I'm looking just neutral. I'm not crunching my neck here. Upward facing dog. So you have to really make sure you find length. It is a definite chest opener, a heart opener. So you want to make sure that you find length all the way through your spine, including the crown of your head. Roll those shoulders back, press through those hands. Engage your entire hand, not just sinking into the palm. Engage those fingertips as well. Pressing the tops of your feet, into the mat. That allows for your knees to be activated. So you can see if you can get those knees and the shins off the ground. Your shins may not come off the ground, but see if you can really get those knees off as best you can. Okay? All right? So let's all come to our plank position. If you don't want to, if you have any contraindications, anything going on with your lower back in which you can't come into that deep of a bend, then feel free to just sit and watch, or feel free to come back to that cobra and activate those lower back muscles. Inhale as you peel your chest off the ground. Your choice, okay? Good, from here we're going to go ahead and step back into our plank. Pushing away from the ground, nice and active. We're gonna tip forward. Lower down halfway as we squeeze our elbows into our sides. Continuing to use our toes, press forward as you come into your upward facing dog. Inhale here, exhale as you push up and back. See if you can push all the way back into your downward facing dog. We came here earlier. Breathing in a downward facing dog. Let's lower both knees down to the ground and sit back into child's pose. I always like to tell people to feel free to stir your cake batter, or turn doorknobs. If you want to rotate your wrist inwards, and then rotate your wrist the opposite direction while remaining in your child's pose. Okay, from here, let's extend both arms out nice and long. Inhale as you rise up and step right foot, left foot, back into plank. Coming into that chaturanga again, we're going to tip forward. Lower down halfway as you squeeze your elbows into your sides. Using those toes, press forward, coming into your upward facing dog. Inhale here, exhale, press back, all the way up and back into our downward facing dog. Breathing here. Good, lower both knees down to the ground and sit back into your child's pose. Two more breaths here. Good, and your next inhale, begin to walk your hands in towards your lap. Sitting up nice and tall, coming into a hero's. Or just go ahead and we're all gonna actually meet down on the ground. Extending our legs out nice and long in front of us. Let's flex our toes in towards our face. Okay, let's bend our right knee into our chest, giving ourselves a hug. Sitting up nice and tall. We're gonna come into a twist here. So we're gonna step this right foot over the left, either above the knee or below the knee. Whatever works for you, whatever's best for you. I'm gonna keep my right foot below my knee today. Coming into this twist, make sure you're still sitting up nice and tall and that both hip bones, both sits bones are connected to the mat, connected to the ground. Holding into your right knee with your left hand. Let's begin to inhale as we lift the right arm up high to the sky. Still focusing, paying attention to what this left leg is doing. Keep that left foot flexed. Inhale here as you reach up a little higher again. Exhale as you twist and open to the right. Bringing the right hand down to the ground, as far behind you as is comfortable. So with this twist, try to keep your belly button as connected to your right thigh as possible. Making sure you're twisting a nice long spine. So try not to lean back in your twist. Try not to lean forward in your twist. Try to have a nice long spine as you reach up and over and back. Gaze can be in line with your hip, or if you choose, just like we did earlier, feel free to look over that right shoulder, if that's comfortable for you. What to do with the left hand? Either hold onto this right leg a little bit more, or you can take the left elbow, pull it onto the outside of the right knee, and twist. Whatever you do, see if you can do this all with a nice long spine. So I don't want you to try to twist by sinking down, crunching down, and then getting that elbow around, and then lifting and twisting. No, let's try to make it all one simple movement, okay? Wherever you are, on your next inhale, begin to reach the right arm back up high to the sky, coming back through center, releasing the leg, begin to twist it open to the left, just a gentle opposite twist. Nothing too major here. Coming back through center, let's step the right foot from over the left leg. Good. Finding the same thing on the opposite side, bring the left knee in. Give yourself a hug. Sitting up nice and tall, we're gonna step the left leg over the right, either above or below the knee. Again, yogi's choice. Keeping this right foot flexed, sitting up nice and tall. Hold onto the left leg with the right hand. Inhale as you reach the left arm up high to the sky. Exhale as you twist and open to the left, releasing the left hand down on the ground. Looking straight in line with your hip, or looking over that left shoulder. Finding the same thing on this side. Either taking the right hand and hugging, holding on to the left leg a little bit more, if that's comfortable for you, or taking the right elbow, hooking onto the outside of the left knee. Whatever you did on one side, see if you can do it on the other side as well. Breathing into this twist. Making sure that belly button is staying connected to that thigh. Slowly beginning to release that left knee. Everyone inhale as you reach the Left arm up high to the sky. Exhale as you twist through center, coming to the right for a gentle opposite twist. Inhaling as you return back through center. Unhooking and releasing that left foot from over the right. We're going to come now to fully reclined, but we're going to engage our core as we do, okay? So coming to fully reclined, extending both arms out nice and long, legs nice and long, pulling yourself up through the crown of your head. Inhale here. Exhale as we roll our spines down, rolling down for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Good. From here, let's bend both knees, bring them into your chest, give yourself a hug. Feel free to rock from side to side. Extending our legs overhead, coming into a waterfall pose. Just holding your legs up by your own merit. Bending your knees into your chest again to give yourself a hug, either holding on top of the shins or behind the thighs, whatever works for you. To see if you can keep your lower back connected to the ground. Don't lift it up. Let's drop both heels down to the ground. Keeping your feet and your knees in line with your hips. So remember that hips width distance. Reach your fingertips down. You should be able to kind of skim your heels a little bit. We're going to work our way into a bridge pose. Pressing your palms into the ground. Pressing your entire foot into the ground. Inhale as you lift your hips up high to the sky. Getting that arch in that lower back. Be careful not to let your knees splay open. Don't let them fall open. Engage those inner thighs. Beginning with your upper back. Slowly begin to roll each vertebrae down to the mat until your hips are the last to come down. Bring those knees into your chest. Give yourself a hug. From here, keeping the right leg in, begin to straighten the left. And switch, bringing the left leg in, straighten the right. Bring both knees into your chest. Give yourself a hug. Lower both feet down to the ground. Widen your feet, your stance, so that way they're max width distance apart. And slowly begin to rock your legs right and left and right, as you straighten your legs, coming into our final pose of Shavasana, our final resting pose. Palms can stay up if you want to feel the energy and the environment of your environment. Palms can face down if you prefer to feel a bit more grounded. Remaining in your Shavasana. Come back to the intention that you set for yourself. Feel your ribs expand into your mat beneath you. Feel your belly rise and fall as you relax in this resting pose. Finding calm, finding peace. Allow yourself to simply lie here and breathe. Coming back to the intention that you set for yourself. Thoughts may come, thoughts may go. That's perfectly fine. Slowly come back to that intention. Feel your breath. Your belly rises and falls. Feel yourself melting into your mat, melting into the ground beneath you. Continuing to breathe. Slowly begin to bring your focus back to the present, back to the here and to the now. Find little movements by perhaps wiggling your fingers and your toes, maybe wrinkling your forehead and wiggling your nose. Reach both arms overhead for a nice long stretch, maybe rotating your wrists, stirring up that cake batter, rotating them the opposite direction, maybe pointing and flexing your feet. Take a nice long inhale here. Exhale, bring both knees into your chest and give yourself a hug. Feel free to rock from side to side. Upon your next exhale, roll to your side of choice, either your right or your left, for a comfortable fetal position, supporting the weight of your head with your bottom arm, maybe taking that top arm and resting it on your side, or maybe even in front of your belly. Breathing here. Slowly waking up your body. Let's take 4 full inhalations and exhalations. And then when you're ready, ever so slowly, use that top hand to push yourself up. Use that bottom hand to continue to walk yourself up to a comfortable seated position. Coming to this comfortable seated position. Let's inhale as we reach both arms up high to the sky. Exhale our hands to heart center. So again, my name is Bettina Lee of Believable Prana, Yoga and Wellness. I want to thank each and every single one of you so much for sharing in your practice with me this evening. The love and light in me truly honors, respects, and is grateful for the love and light in each of you. Namaste.